Genesis chapter 31. Jacob heard that Laban's sons were saying, Jacob has taken everything that belongs to our father, and he has produced all this wealth from our father's property. Jacob perceived too that Laban's attitude towards him was not what it had previously been. Then the Lord said to Jacob, Return to the land of your ancestors, where you were born, and I will be with you. So Jacob sent for Rachel and Lash to meet him in the field where his flock was. There he said to them, I have noticed that your father's attitude towards me is not as it was in the past, but the God of my father has been with me. You know well that with all my strength I serve your father. Yet your father cheated me and changed my wages 10 times. God, however, did not let him do me any harm. Whenever your father said, the speckled animals will be your wages, the entire flock would bear speckled young. Whenever he said, the speckled animals will be your wages, the entire flock would bear striped young. So God took away your father's livestock and gave it to me. Once during the flock's mating season, I had a dream in which I saw he-goats mating that were striped, sparkled, and molted. In the dream, God's angel said to me, Jacob. Said I, replied, Here I am. Then he said, Look up and see. All of the he-goats that are mating are speckled, striped, speckled, and molted. For I have seen all the things that Laban has been doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed a sacred pillar, a scarce pillar, and made a vow to me. Get up now, leave this land, and return to the land of your birth. Rachel and Leah asked him, Do we still have an heir's portion in our father's house? Are we not regarded by him as outsiders? He not only sold us, he had even used us he has even used up the money that he got for us. All the wealth that God took away from our father really belongs to us and our children. So do whatever God has told you. Jacob proceeded to put his children and wives on camels, and he drove all his livestock and all of his property he had acquired in Pandaram to go to his father Isaac in the land of Canaan. Now Laban was away shaving his sheep, and Rachel had stolen her father's household items. Jacob and had hoodwinkles Laban the Aramean by not telling him that he was going to flee. Thus he fled with all that he had. Once he was across the Euphrates, he headed for the hill called country of Galilee. On the third day, word came to Laban that Jacob had fled. Taking his kinsmen with him, he pursued him for 7 days, until he caught up with him in the hill country of Galilee. But that night God appeared to Laban the Aramean in a dream and said to him, "Take care not to say anything to Jacob." When Laban overtook Jacob, Jacob's tents were pitched in the hill country. Laban also pitched his tents in the hill country of Galilee. Laban said to Jacob, How could you hoodwink me and carry off my daughters like prisoners of war? Why did you dump me by stealing away secretly? You did not tell me I would have to send you off with joyful singing to the sound of trumpets and horns. You did not even allow me to put parting kiss to my daughters and grandchildren. Now what you have done makes no sense. I have in my power to harm all of you. But last night the God of your father said to me, Take care not to say anything to Jacob. Granted that you had to leave because you were longing for your father's house. Why did you steal my gods? Jacob replied to Laban, I was frightened at the thought that you might take your daughters away from me by force. As for your gods, the one you find them with shall not remain alive. If with our kinsmen looked on, you identify anything that has belonging to you, take it. Jacob had no idea that Rachel had stolen the household items. Laban then went in and searched Jacob's tent and Laban's tent, as well as the tents of the two maidservants, but he did not find them. Leaving Laban's tent, he went into Rachel's. Meanwhile, Rachel had taken the household items, but then inside the camel's saddlebag, and seated herself upon them. When Laban had rumbled through her whole tent without finding anything, she said to her father, Do not let my lord be angry that I cannot rise in your presence. I am having my period. So, despite his search, he did not find the household items. Jacob, now angered, confronted Laban and demanded, What crime or offense have I committed that you should hood me? Now that you have rummaged through all my things, what have you found from your household belongings? Produce it here before your kinsmen and mine, and let them decide between the two of us. In the 20 years that I was under you, no ear or she-goat or yours ever miscarried, and I have never eaten rams of your flock. I have bought you as animal tongue by wild beasts. I made good the loss myself. You had me responsible for everything stolen by day or night. After the scorching heat devoured me by day, and the frost by night, while sheep fled from my eyes. On the 30th year that I had now spent in your household, I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters, and 6 years for the flocks. 20 years. While you changed my wages 10 times. If the God of of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had not been on my side, you would not now have sent me away empty-handed. But God saw my plead and the fruits of my toil, and last night he reproached you. Laban replied to Jacob, the daughters are mine, their children are mine, the flocks are mine. Everything you see belongs to me. What can I do now for my own daughters and for the children they have borne? Come now, let us make a covenant. You and I, and it will be treated between you and me. Then Jacob took a stone and set it up as a scared pillar. Jacob said to his king's men, gather stones. So they got stone and made a mount, and they ate there at the mount. Laban called it Jagor Sahidolah, but Jacob called it Galeed. Laban said, this mount will be a witness from now on between you and me. That is why it was named Galeed, and also Mizphaim, for he said, may the Lord keep watch between you and me when we are out of each other's sight. If you mistreat my daughters or take their wives beside my daughters, know that even though no one else is there, God will be a witness between you and me. Laban said further to Jacob, here is this mount, and here is the scared pillar that I have set up between you and me. This mount will be a witness, and this scared pillar will be a witness that with hostile intent I may not pass beyond this mount into your territory, nor may you pass beyond it into mine. May the God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their fathers, judge between us. Jacob took the oath by the fear of his father Isaac. He then offered a sacrifice on the mountain and invited his kinsmen to share in the meal. When they had eaten, they passed the night on the mountain. End of Genesis 21.